That hot Saturday afternoon, the roadside diner just outside Phoenix was packed. Cars moved slowly through the parking lot, engines humming, doors slamming, families laughing as they waited for tables. The smell of fried food mixed with hot asphalt, and the sun beat down without mercy. That was where Henry Walker appeared. He walked carefully, shoulders slightly hunched, as if his body carried more years than his face showed. His jacket was old and oil-stained, the cuffs darkened by work and time. His boots were worn, one sole starting to peel away. Nothing about him stood out, except how easily people seemed to look past him. A few miles back, his truck had broken down on a quiet stretch of road. No signal, no passing cars willing to stop, so he walked, mile after mile, sweat soaking his shirt, calves burning with every step, until the diner came into view like a small promise of rest. He stopped near the edge of the lot, catching his breath, scanning the ground. That was when he noticed a purse lying beside a parked car. Carefully, he picked it up by the strap, holding it out in plain sight, looking for its owner. At the same moment, Amanda Lewis stepped out of a sleek SUV. Her heels clicked sharply against the pavement. Her dress was flawless, her hair perfectly set, her perfume strong enough to cut through the heat. She spoke loudly as she walked, used to attention, used to being heard. When she saw Henry, she stopped cold. Her eyes moved quickly over his clothes, his hands, the way he stood. Her expression tightened. Before Henry could speak, before he could explain, she raised her hand. The slap echoed across the parking lot. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. A child went silent. Several heads turned at once. Henry staggered slightly and steadied himself against the diner wall. His cheek burned, but his eyes stayed calm. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't lift his hands. "Thief!" Amanda shouted, loud enough for everyone to hear. "He tried to steal my purse!" She clutched the bag to her chest now, her chin high, her face flushed with outrage. People began to whisper. Someone said they saw him standing too close. Another muttered that it was better to call the police. Henry opened his mouth to speak. Amanda didn't let him. She shoved him with her shoulder, hard enough to make him stumble. "Don't touch me," she snapped, even though he hadn't. Minutes later, a patrol car pulled in. The officer listened mostly to Amanda. Henry stayed quiet. Cold metal closed around his wrists, a little tighter than necessary. As he was guided toward the back seat, Henry turned his head once and looked at her. There was no anger in his eyes, no plea, just a quiet look, as if he were sealing the moment into memory. The cruiser drove away. Amanda exhaled, convinced she had done the right thing. No one questioned her. No one asked for Henry's side. The diner slowly returned to normal. Laughter resumed, orders were called out, and without realizing it, Amanda had just crossed a line that would soon change her own life forever. At the police station, time seemed to stretch and thin. Fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead, turning every face pale and tired. Henry sat on a hard plastic chair, his wrists sore where the cuffs had been removed moments earlier. He answered the questions calmly, gave his name once, said little else. When the officer typed his information into the system, the room shifted. The steady tapping on the keyboard stopped. A phone rang somewhere down the hall, then another. Glances were exchanged without a word being spoken. No one apologized. They never did. Instead, their posture changed. Voices lowered. Suddenly, every word was chosen more carefully. A supervisor appeared at the doorway and cleared his throat. There had been a mistake. Henry was free to go. Transportation could be arranged if he needed it. Henry shook his head. "I'll walk," he said. Outside, the desert night had cooled the air, but not the memory. He moved slowly down the sidewalk, the hum of distant traffic following him. Being judged by appearance was nothing new, but it had been years since it had cut this deep. Long ago, Henry had built a company from nothing. He worked endless nights, trusted the wrong people, and lost everything in a collapse that made headlines. When he fell, the world watched. When he rebuilt, he did it quietly. He started again with discipline and patience. No flashy offices, no interviews, just steady work and silence. The money returned. The trust never fully did. That was the lesson he passed on to his son, Daniel. Daniel grew up watching restraint instead of anger, observation instead of reaction, respect for people who could offer nothing in return. Daniel became successful on his own terms, careful, measured, never using his father's name to open doors, and he was the one who brought Amanda into their lives. From the first dinner, Henry noticed what others brushed aside, the way she snapped her fingers for service, how impatience crept into her voice when things were not perfect, how easily she spoke about people as if they were categories. Daniel defended her, said she was driven, ambitious, that she only needed time. Henry didn't argue. He listened. Some truths reveal themselves only when given space. When the engagement was announced, Henry suggested something simple. No party, no crowd, just a quiet weekend at his ranch outside Sedona. On the afternoon they arrived, the sun dipped low, painting the sky in deep orange and red. Henry pulled on his oldest jacket and stepped outside. Working the land always brought him clarity. He moved slowly along the garden beds, trimming shrubs that had grown uneven. The rhythm calmed him. Snip, pause, step forward. Then he heard it. A car on gravel, laughter, the uneven drag of a suitcase being pulled without care. Amanda entered the garden first. She stopped when she saw him. Her eyes narrowed. "You shouldn't be back here," she said, irritation sharp in her voice. Henry kept working, said he would be finished soon. That calm answer only fueled her frustration. She stepped closer, too close. Her voice rose so others could hear. "Do you even know where you are?" she asked, mocking. Henry finally looked up and said he worked there. Amanda laughed, short, cruel. Her patience snapped. She grabbed his jacket and yanked him forward. And then came the blow. The sound of the strike cut through the garden. Stops stopped instantly. Even the evening air seemed to hold its breath. Henry took half a step back, more surprised than hurt. He raised a hand to his cheek, feeling the heat bloom across his skin. He did not shout. He did not defend himself. Amanda stood there, breathing fast, her anger feeding on itself. She turned toward the house and shouted for security, said the man had frightened her, said he had no right to be there. Guests exchanged uneasy glances. No one spoke, but the silence no longer supported her story. Then a voice cut through the tension, calm, controlled. "What's going on here?" Daniel stepped into the garden, sleeves rolled, jacket open as if he had been relaxing before the noise pulled him in. His eyes took in everything at once, the frozen guests, Amanda's flushed face, and his father standing still, dirt on his hands, cheek red but posture steady. "Dad, are you okay?" Daniel asked first. Henry nodded once, nothing more. Daniel turned to Amanda. She spoke immediately, words tumbling over each other, said she felt threatened, said the man had approached her, said she had defended herself. No one confirmed it, but no one openly challenged her either. Daniel looked down at the pruning shears on the ground, then at the soil on his father's hands, at the calm that had not left his posture. He looked back at Amanda. "You hit him?" he asked. She crossed her arms. "Yes, I defended myself." Daniel exhaled slowly. Something about the scene did not add up. Defended yourself from what? Amanda talked about looks, about feelings, about past experiences. Daniel closed his eyes for a brief moment. When he opened them, his voice was low but firm. "That man is my father." The words landed heavy in the open air. A gasp escaped someone near the house. Another guest took a step back. Amanda's face drained of color. She shook her head, refusing to accept it. "No, that's not possible," she whispered. Henry spoke then, for the first time since the blow. One word: enough. It was not loud, it was final. Daniel stepped closer to his father, his position clear. Amanda rushed to apologize, words spilling fast now. She said she didn't know, she would never have done it if she had. Henry looked at her the same way he had years earlier in that parking lot, calm, observant, finished. "Knowing doesn't change who you are," he said. Security arrived, unsure where to stand. Daniel gave a small, unmistakable gesture toward Amanda. "Please escort her off the property," he said, "and cancel the engagement." The word engagement echoed louder than any shout. Amanda tried to step forward. Her heels slid on the gravel. Reality caught up all at once. As she was led away, no one met her eyes. The garden grew quiet again. Henry bent down, picked up the shears, and returned to his work. The shrubs still needed trimming. Daniel stayed beside him in silence. The gathering was over. And in that moment, Amanda understood she had not just lost a relationship, she had revealed who she truly was in front of everyone. When the gate closed behind her, the ranch fell into a heavy silence. Guests began to leave quietly, one by one, speaking in low voices, avoiding eye contact. Nothing needed to be explained. Everyone felt that something final had just taken place. Henry stayed in the garden. He crouched down and carefully straightened a branch that had been bent during the commotion. The soil was still damp, easy to shape beneath his fingers. Some things, he knew, could be repaired with patience. Others, once broken at the core, never truly healed. Later that night, the house returned to its natural calm. Daniel brought 2 glasses and sat beside his father on the porch. No long talks, no lectures, just the quiet presence of 2 people who understood each other. "I should have stopped this sooner," Daniel said at last. Henry shook his head slowly. "You saw it," he replied. "You just hoped it would change." They sat there in silence, not an empty one, but a peaceful silence, filled with clarity. Crickets echoed across the land. A light breeze moved through the trees. The next morning, the calls began. Apologies mixed with excuses, advice about forgiveness, appearances, and reputation. None of it changed anything. The engagement disappeared quietly. Photos were deleted. Plans were canceled without announcements. Amanda's name became one people avoided, not out of revenge, but self-protection. Henry returned to his simple routine: morning walks, modest meals, evenings spent tending the garden as the sun faded. His life remained unchanged, and that was exactly the point. Money had never been the measure. Character was, especially in how someone treats those they believe have no value. Some said the decision was too harsh, that everyone deserves another chance. Henry disagreed. Respect is not learned after the mistake, it is revealed before it. If this story stayed with you, pay close attention to how people treat those who can offer them nothing. That is where true character lives. Share your thoughts in the comments and follow the channel for more stories that carry real lessons from life.